What you have to guess which game.
And happy Monday, post 100 episode. This is episode 101 of the Plug Talk Sports live show. We got Brandon, we got Jonka, and myself coming to you live from our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. We got some fun stuff coming up. We're going to get some coverage of this on Plug Talk Sports. There'll be a package coming soon, this week, should I say, of the 2023 MLS All-Star Game here at Audi Field. MLS All-Stars taking on Arsenal. Should be a good one. Arsenal having such a great, season last year. Didn't end up with the Premier League trophy, but they had a great season. And of course, Wayne Rooney, former, English international and played in the Premier League, is coaching the MLS All-Stars. We got the Skills Challenge tomorrow night, and then the All-Star Game on Wednesday night. So much going on here in DC, and quite frankly with you boys, I am exhausted. I've been up since 5:30 a.m. Had a flight into DC, then decided to take in some scenery. I went to a museum, and then I met up with a friend. Took the train back to the hotel, and I literally had an hour, had dinner, and then came back up to the room just in time for our show. But yes, MLS All-Star coverage for Plug Talk Sports will be dropping this week, so stay tuned for that. Let's get into our negatives and positives of the week. I think we didn't do it last week, did we?
I don't think so, no.
No. So let's go with good. Brandon, hit me with something good.
Some good news. From the top of my head, I would probably say I've been very busy the past 2 weeks, making a lot of articles back and forth, not only for Plug Talk Sports, but also the other papers and publishers I do work for. So just the grind recently, though. I mean, I've been really grateful for that.
Jonka?
For me, I guess it would have to be, I got a new Funko Pop. I actually hit, I don't know if you guys see it, but 20,000 steps today.
Nice, man.
Took me 3 hours in the gym, but it took me, and I got there, but now my feet hurt, so.
Hey, listen, man. Like, you know how iPhone has that thing now where you have to close your ring? I was at 400% today with the amount of walking I've done. I have my feet elevated right now. My feet hurt. And I was wearing my On Clouds, which have support for your feet. My feet are dead. And after tonight's episode, I'm going straight for a shower and I'm going straight to bed. Hasta mañana. That's it. I'm done. I'm gassed after this. For me, my good of the week would have to be, I celebrated my birthday this past Thursday, turned 25. Had a nice little barbecue at the house. On Saturday, went to go, Friday, I went to dinner with a friend, and then, which was a whole thing. I mean, friend paid for the dinner. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm not going to, got a whole bottle of wine, and I was like, oh, okay, nice. Wow. Yeah. And Saturday went to the movies, saw Mission Impossible. Jonko was there. Got to tell you, Brandon, very good movie. Very good movie.
Does Tom Cruise ever disappoint, though?
Never.
Yep.
Never.
I don't think he ever does, man. I mean, especially the movies now, like some peak movies this summer, though.
Yeah.
I will say I didn't know Tom Cruise had so much W Riz. When you see this movie, Once you see this movie, he has major W Riz.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be looking for the Tom Riz when I see the movie.
Yeah, I can't lie. He did drop some Riz in there. Sent Jonka something funny earlier today. It's like every Tom Cruise movie, the man is like full on sprinting out of nowhere for no reason. Uh, it's great though. I love Tom Cruise. None of his movies have ever disappointed me outside, even outside of Mission Impossible. One of my favorite actors. So had a good birthday weekend, and of course cap it off with DC for MLS All Star. Can't complain. Let's get into negative. Brandon, hit me with your negative.
Definitely the negative. Figure out the moving stuff for my place here. My end of the lease is gonna be the 31st, so I'm like doing trips because I'm really avoiding the U-Haul option. That's one thing because like they're like, oh, there'll be this amount for an hour. I'm thinking to myself like, well, I gotta do, back and forth. I gotta make multiple trips. So yeah, I'm doing everything I can with my Honda Accord. Basically doing trips down to Miami multiple weekends. Maybe multiple times during a day. So it's just been very, very not like stressful, but just exhausting though.
But wait, you're moving down to Miami?
Well, like for a little bit, I'm technically homeless until the 18th of August, where I'll be going back to North Florida. So I'll be in South Florida for a little bit. Not gonna lie to you.
Yo, we all gotta meet up. We all gotta meet
Yep.
up.
We gotta do an in-person podcast, maybe a barbershop talk, whatever we can figure out. Sit down.
Oh heck yeah!
I'm down for it.
Can make that happen.
And then we all go to Sports Girl or Hooters.
Yep.
Can make that happen for sure. For sure. Jonka, hit me with your negative, man. What you got going on that was negative this past week?
Boy, if I gotta tell you a negative, man. This weather and this heat, bro. To the people that don't live here in Miami, bro, or South Florida, you don't understand what we go through on a daily basis. It is terrible here. Like you might got dry heat, but we got moisture. Everywhere you go, it's either your sleeve is on the bottom of your armpit because of how much sweating and moisture that's coming out of your body. It sucks.
Hey, well, hold up. I can't lie. Like here in DC, the moment I stepped outside, like it wasn't. There's no moisture. I don't know. I think I prefer the moisture because like it just feels like an oven. I don't say it's as bad as heat as Miami, but it just feels like an oven outside here, and it's really uncomfortable. Like you don't sweat, so you're not like refreshing. It's just really uncomfortable heat.
Yeah, you need humidity, man. Like if you don't have humidity, you're not sweating. Like you're just feeling the sun nonstop. I remember I went out to Vegas and like out west during the summertime. I mean, that dry heat, man, it's a different feeling, man. It's a really different feeling.
It is, man. It's bad in the summer there. Negative for me. Always negative for me. Huh. I gotta think about this one. Wow.
I mean, it's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have. You're right. Man, I really can't like. I mean, the only negative I can think of is when I walked into this hotel, I saw water and I was like, "Ooh, yay, water!" And then it was like one of these like really lemon. Like I don't mind lemon in my water, but like when it's like overdone and it doesn't taste like water, it just tastes like a straight up lemon. Like that, I have a problem with. I was excited, grabbed the water, and it was just no. So I mean, that's the only negative thing I can like think of. I mean, I don't have really something else to say about that. I mean, that's about it. Let's get into our first topic of the night. And if you guys didn't see, exclusively on Apple TV, and I think it brought up 3.5. Billion. I think it was million views worldwide. Was Inter Miami's presentation of Messi and Sergio Busquets. Before we get into the unveiling itself, I just want to say two things. One, it never fails at Drive Pink Stadium. There is a torrential hurricane downpour. And people it's just so many things, Brandon. It's so many things. Like, they told people that were standing outside in the gates, go wait in your car. What if you didn't come in a car? What if you came in an Uber? What if you came by Brightline? What the heck are you supposed to do?
No, yeah. And I think the biggest thing about that, when you say it like that, it's on the edge of an airport that's on a one road in
Yeah.
Commercial Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. That's like heavy traffic that no one's going to be able to even make out of at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's terrible. It's terrible.
I saw a video of people, obviously there was lightning, like really bad lightning and heavy rain. Poor people just wanted to get in and get some shelter.
Yeah.
But the scary part is that those people, who I'm sure didn't mean any harm, but were able to get in, ticket not checked by security. Again, I don't think any of those people meant any harm, but you never know. Like, you can't take that risk. That was bad. I saw, video, so much flooding in that stadium. It's just not made. It's a temporary site. It's what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
It's just not made for this. So I really hope Miami Freedom Park, which I passed by there today, going to the airport, and still having the golf course is still there. The golf course is really abandoned at this point. There's weeds and grass growing all over the place, but they haven't done anything with it. Haven't tore down anything. So it's a slow process. So that was my first thing, and my second thing would be is, if you guys watched it, the Apple TV production was not good at all. I don't think.
My God, it was terrible.
You could not hear Messi speaking. You could not hear Beckham speaking. Then when Messi did speak, they tried to put an English translation so you can understand what Messi, and you just couldn't hear it. It's unfortunate. It's just. And I know that the excuse for this, guys, is going to be, there's going to be like, buy a ticket and go to the stadium and go see it. But, people that try to watch it at home, it wasn't a good product, a good quality of a stream for people at home to watching this event. But yes, it was official. Their contracts are signed. They are, at least Messi, to my knowledge, is playing this Friday, debuting in the Leagues Cup. This new tournament starting this year, and Inter Miami is hosting Cruz Azul from Liga MX at Drive Pink Stadium. Look, what I could compare this to, and it's the first thing that I thought of when I saw this unveiling, is when LeBron James signed with the Miami Heat, and him, Wade, and Bosh had a welcome party in the arena, and they talked about, not one, not two, not three, not four. This is what it took me back to, and it just gave me a sour taste. Look, in soccer, it is known to have presentations when you sign a new player. Mm-hmm. But just some of the things that were said kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm sure the same way it happened with LeBron and the Heat, I'm sure it's the same way it's going to happen with Inter Miami and the MLS, where the rest of the league really is looking at this and really wants to whoop your butt.
Yeah.
For all this showboating and stuff like. On top of that, this is not a Messi going to Inter Miami, or Inter Miami paid for Messi to come here. This is Don Garber in the MLS in the whole paid for Messi to come here. Mm-hmm. So on top of this presentation, the league also, the rest of the teams are paying for a player that they're not going to have. So they're already ticked off about all that. And you add this on top, it was raining during the presentation, and they were saying stuff like, "Oh, this is holy water," and as funny as it is, calling it holy water and saying Messi is the god, stuff like that is just a little too far for me. Because at the end of the day, yes, he is a phenomenal talent, one of the best players. You guys know where I stand, but he is one of the best players in the world. But no one here on this planet is a god, in my opinion. And I can get ripped. I don't care. Argentinians can rip me all they want. Messi fans can rip me all they want. But there's nobody on this planet that is, a god. And But other than that, I mean, listen, there was musical performances that happened because they did go into a delay. There's musical performances that happened after the presentation. Um, I expected a little more. I was just thinking, when I see other players in Europe get presented and have their jerseys unveiled, and they give a good, the president speaks and stuff like that. They give a good lengthy speech. I think these speeches were kind of short. And I can imagine the people that paid money to be there only saw, the players for a couple minutes, and then it was over. And then there's just the musical, acts and presentations. Wayne Rooney said something today, which I thought was interesting, and I kind of agree with him. And this is a player who is now a coach who understands this league, is he said, end quote, he's not going to find it easy here, end quote. And people are hating on Rooney for saying that and stuff like that. And it's because people doubt the capabilities. And this is a man that played in Premier League, top league, and played in England in the World Cup. The level of pace in the MLS is very fast. Mm-hmm. It is a very physically demanding league. And it is the league in the entire world that you do the most travel, which does take an impact on your body. So I'm going to be curious to see how Messi deals with that. I also read something now at dinner, which I was like, oh, this is just going too far. Commissioner Don Garber wants to change the stadiums that have turf to put it to natural grass for Messi. And it's like, okay, man, you're going a little too far now.
That's a bit extra.
It's a bit extra for one person. And for Busquets, look, Spaniard legend, love him. Look, I'm not a Barcelona guy. You guys know I'm a Madrid guy. He's very old. I can't lie. And this, again, like I said, physically demanding league. I don't know how much he's got in those legs to be in this midfield in this league. So there's a lot of question marks for me. Look, Messi's going to do Messi things. I've said this before. It's just a roster around him. And I don't think they're going to turn. There's 12 games left in this season. Obviously, they got Leagues Cup and they got semifinals of U.S. Open Cup. But for MLS itself, for Messi this season itself, I don't think they turn things around this season. I think the best shot of changing anything is next year. But there's a lot of question marks for me to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably just start with the presentation itself. Not going to lie to you, though. I thought it was kind of put down, despite, of course, the rain delays and the lightning, the crazy storm, and the rushing of the gates.
Yeah.
I thought for an 18,000-seated venue, they actually did pretty well for that type of venue. We're talking about, the crowd fully on display, everyone in the black, pink, white, all MLS, Inter Miami, ready to go. Vasquez goes there and actually does his best English out there in front of the MLS crowd, which I was super impressed with. And I thought it was really amazing that he did that instead of course, going into Spanish, which, of course, is his first language.
Yeah.
And from what we've seen recent of, Tata talking to the media, and then as well, these other players for Inter Miami, there's been less translation and more of, that South Florida finesse being brought into the media where you have, no translations, but a lot of Spanish in text and Spanish in the media from reporters. So I thought that was really interesting. And then the messy part about it, is it too much where you have Jorge Mas? And again, this is a guy that they're trying to get for since the beginning of the entire franchise. Is it too much of him saying holy water? Is it too much of saying your number 10, our number 10, the United States number 10? I don't think so. This is a guy that David Beckham went on a limb for. This is a guy that said, hey, we're going to get players like Messi to Miami. And he did it. Of course, with the help of the MLS. Of course, with the help of other, figures outside of Inter Miami. But they were able to get the number 10 in Messi. And now, 12 games, as you mentioned before. Is it possible they can come back? I mean, mathematically, yes. But defensively, this team is unsounded. I mean, when you look at the game they had against St. Louis the other night, I mean, what was it, like 60%? They control possession just for them to have 3 shots on goal,
Yeah.
and then to allow 19 shots overall for St. Louis. It makes no sense. So Inter Miami, they definitely have more work to do, especially with Tata up there as a coach who needs to still improve himself. But Messi, I think, and it's weird because I did talk to a lot of people here in North Central Florida that talk, but at PSG he had like 36 whatever goals for the club, and he only been there for a little bit. He still was able to perform well in Barca, perform well in, I apologize, I don't remember the league's name, but the one in Paris with PSG.
League
So
One.
why not MLS? And I understand Wayne Rooney and the pace over here in the States and the physicality, it might be a little bit different. And of course, every single league around the world globally has a little different, taste to it. But if you ask me, Messi, he's always been able to adapt, and this will be a huge challenge for him. But I do expect him to adapt. And another thing, don't focus on the end of this season, but the offseason window, what Inter Miami can do, especially with Messi now officially here in Miami.
Well said from both of you.
I have something to.
Okay, go ahead.
I have something to add to that. When you talk about adjustment, I personally don't think he's adjusted well. I think when he went to France, I don't think the adjustment was easy for him, and he even said himself that he was unhappy in France. I think that he's a Barcelona player through and through. I think that he did. Look, I'm not taking his talents away from him, but he did have a lot of help from guys like Xavi and from Iniesta who were in their prime. When Messi was in his prime and Xavi and Iniesta had just come off a World Cup win with Spain in 2010, they were firing on all cylinders and they were feeding him the ball. When he left to France, he struggled a lot. And it was more of a role of you're just feeding the ball to Neymar and Mbappe. It wasn't more of a goal-scoring role, but you can tell that it was very weird for him. And that's something that I've always wanted to see from Messi, compared to, for example, a Zlatan or a Cristiano Ronaldo, where they've been to multiple countries and have won in multiple countries and have adjusted to those leagues. I would have loved to see in his career, Messi in his career, seeing if he can play in the Premier League or play in Serie A and stuff like that. And people say, oh, but he has destroyed those teams from those leagues. But yeah, he's playing with his team. He's not on a consistent basis playing in that league against teams in that league every weekend, and week out. I think he will do well in the MLS. I do. The problem, again, the problem is for him to score, someone's going to have to pass him the ball.
Yeah.
Who's that going to be? That's the issue. Messi's going to do Messi, but who's going to pass him the ball?
Yeah. And I mean, now that you say that, it's also, there's still questions about this roster. Like, what's Robinson's future with Inter Miami? I mean, is Campagna? Yeah. I mean, if he's already left.
He has. He signed with AEK Athens in Greece.
Oh, no. Not Pizarro, like Robbie Robinson.
Oh, that's a whole nother case.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, what's going to happen to Robbie Robinson?
Yep.
What's going to go on with Martinez and Campagna and their whole thing going on back and forth with starters not starting, and as I mentioned before, the entire defense, every single quarterback on this team is not safe. They are not safe after this season. So again, who's going to pass to him? Really, who's going to be on the fields throughout the entire year with Messi? So I mean, there's a lot of questions.
It is. Jonka?
I think for the rest of this season, I think just Messi's going to be just dipping his toe in the water, see how it is. Okay, make this adjustment, make that adjustment. Okay, this guy doesn't work out. I know who to get rid of. Okay, this guy he's pretty good. Maybe he needs some improvement. We can work on that in the offseason. He's going to see who can stay, who's going to go, and then in the offseason, they'll make their moves. Offseason, this trade, that trade, however it goes down. And I expect next season that a completely different roster from what we're seeing now is gonna be on the field. And I'm expecting a more sound defense. I guess I'm assuming a better offense because, like you guys said, a 60% how do you said
Possession.
possession percentage, and I'm like, and you only have 3 shots on goal. Were they on goal or just 3 shots taken?
Really, just 3 shots on goal. I think 10 or so overall shots against
Okay.
St. Louis. And again, St. Louis is a tough team. That's number 1 in the West. So
So like that's really unacceptable. I think with Messi, how he's a playmaker, he can score, but his playmaking is one of the biggest things he has in his book. So I'm just expecting him to be the leader, and then he'll facilitate Busquets. He'll give it to Yedlin or Campana or whoever, and see how it goes down. Because I don't think he really cares for these next 12 games. He's just going to be there to play, and then he's like, all right, let me see how it goes. Let me see how hard I have to work and get used to the pace, like Daniel was saying.
Yep.
Okay, okay, maybe I gotta push a little bit more, take a little bit less, because obviously if you watch him in Barcelona, PSG, Argentina, he's not always making these runs like every single play. He times himself. He's like, okay, maybe we have this possession. He's going down the field. Let me see if I can do something. He's always trying to set up the play. So we have organization now with him. Now, can that produce more goals? We got to see who we get. And hopefully we still don't have that injury bug at the start of every effing season. But, hopefully that changes. And what's the new coach's name? I forgot his name.
Tata Martino.
Yeah. Oye, mira, Tata. Oye, listen, you better fix it. You better fix the team, please.
Well, hey, Jonka, I know Jonka would love this, Brandon. Why don't you bring back Phil Neville?
Oh, we still got to deal with Phil's son on the team, man.
He's gone. I think he'll be gone soon.
Hopefully. Well, again, he probably has a good career ahead of him, but to stay away from Phil. To stay away from Phil, Inter. To stay away from Phil. That's all I can say.
Hey, listen. The way I describe Messi is a Swiss Army tool. He's going to give you what you need at the moment. Whatever you may need, whatever's lacking, that's what he will give to you. I see Ronaldo more as a big, sharp knife that will cut you in one slice and that's it, which is still lethal. But I see Messi more as a Swiss Army knife with many different tools and skill sets. But I will say this. You guys better enjoy him because this is a 2-year contract. And I think these are the final 2 years because he has already said that he is not participating in the 2026 World Cup with Argentina. Maybe he will participate with Copa America, which is being hosted in the States next year. But I think that this is another move like Gonzalo did. It came into Miami, played for 3 years and retired. I think these could be the final 2 years of Messi, and he's winding down his career. So I think that for soccer fans all over the world, should enjoy this moment. I mean, it's sad. It's for a decade, like just whether side of the aisle you're on, either Ronaldo or Messi, to see those two greats starting to wind down their career. It's kind of crazy. Never seen life without any of them. So
I can low-key see Inter Miami being the Lakers. They just make it into the playoffs, and then they try to shock everybody on the way to the final.
This year?
Or the Heat, yeah, like don't make 7th or 6th place.
You're going way too ahead of yourself.
Wait, hold up. But what if, again, because mathematically it is still possible. What if Inter Miami and Messi are able to get the job done, make the playoffs, and potentially make an MLS Cup final? Does that put Messi in a different category? Because who can say they won it in the Western Hemisphere besides Pelé? You can't.
Listen, bro, all I know is that if LeBron James wins an NBA Cup, Michael Jordan doesn't have one. Oh, man. We're going to stick to it.
If that were to happen and they were to come back from those 12 games, make the playoffs, and win the MLS, I would get a tattoo on my sleeve, right? Saying Messi is the GOAT, period.
We're going to stick to soccer. And if you guys didn't see last week, the United States men's national team was eliminated in a penalty shootout in the semifinals in San Diego, the CONCACAF Gold Cup, to Panama, which Panama would end up losing to Mexico in 3 minutes left in the game before it was going to go to extra time. Listen, so many people on my case, and especially people that know that are Mexican. Oh, we won the Gold Cup, the U.S. lost. Listen, folks, the U.S. brought their C team. 27 of these kids are in the MLS, and they're still learning, and they're young kids. It's not too long ago where Mexico's A team faced the U.S.'s A team in the Nations League, and we wiped the floor with them. This U.S. team right now is much better than Mexico. Much better than Canada, even though Canada has improved. I think Canada at this moment, Canada's A team is better than Mexico at this moment. But for the game itself against Panama, it was really, I felt like it was bound to happen. I think the quarterfinal where they won on penalties, it was, you can tell, like they were lacking, the experience, just the chemistry of these young players. Yeah, sure, they had some veterans like DeAndre Yedlin and goalkeeper Matt Turner. But I didn't see that strength and that skill from this squad. It was a squad that's still learning and still in their youth. Panama deserved it, I think. Panama played great in the game. They had great touches. The U.S. didn't have any touches. And quite frankly, what saved them was Jesus Ferreira with an incredible volley to tie it up. And, that's what we give to the U.S. is that the resilience to not to give up and make it a match. But when it came to penalties, listen, some poor penalties taken. Like they tried to put it in the corner, but it wasn't directly in the corner or not hit hard enough. Especially from Roldan, it was an easy penalty save. When you miss your penalties, you're not setting up your goalie with confidence to try to go and save one. So unfortunately, again, congratulations to Panama for beating us and heading into the final. And, obviously they lost the final, but they still got there. And I'm not concerned for the U.S. at all. Again, this was like a C team. I know what our players entail on the A team. I know what they got there. And I'm very excited for the future and for 2026 because I think they're going to be so much better come 2026.
No, absolutely. And I honestly, before I even go into the U.S. side of things, I don't really know any of the names on Panama's national men's team.
Yeah.
But just their program, their association, the past few years, when the United States missed out on the World Cup in 2018, Panama took that spot. The national pride from that, and then that keep on going into this Gold Cup final where, of course, they lost. But out of all the teams in CONCACAF, they're a top 5 team, and they're not number 5. I think that personally for Panama in the next few years, and again, I do apologize because I don't know any of the names. I can't tell you who the coach is, but I know from the results we've seen for them in international play in recent tournaments, I really do believe this team is going to be on the mark to pass maybe Mexico very soon. Mexico's been kind of declining recently, haven't been out of the group stage, have a new manager right there. And yes, they did win the Gold Cup. Yes, United States C team didn't play all that well. Yes, Canada was taken out early in this Gold Cup.
Who also had a C team.
Which also had a C team. Mexico, which you can argue, there was a lot of guys on that team that are still, I don't even know how this roster for Mexico is going to look like. Because, again, new manager, he's still filling out some spots. So this is a huge Gold Cup. It's the 9th for Mexico, the most in CONCACAF out here in the Western Hemisphere. Because, again, I have to say that because of Qatar out of no reason. But, yeah, I think that, honestly, for the United States C team, there was a lot of sparks. I think for Turner at goal being the captain, he showed a lot of pride, especially during a lot of shootout competitions for some reason throughout this bracket after the group stages. But yeah, I thought United States C team, they showed a lot of spark, but I think the biggest story is definitely Panama making it this far and still finding itself in these situations.
Jonathan?
What I think the U.S. was trying to do was let's not play our main guys. Let's give the second, third stringers some playing time. Let them develop. Let them have a taste of actual playing time. Let them play against these other teams. Get the experience, so that when the World Cup does come around, they got a deep bench that if a player or a star player comes out, they can put them in, and they already have experience playing against these teams. So I think it was kind of not genius, but I think what they had to do, because they knew besides the star players they have, they don't really have anybody else. So they needed to develop these players, and I think just playing your second, third stringers was the best thing they could possibly do. And then guess what? They won one, and then they lost one. So it happens.
Listen, two things. The U.S. would usually bring an A team to this tournament. Mm-hmm. They did not, because Nations League literally ended a week before Gold Cup started. So they needed to have fresh players. Second, well, this is ties into the first. A lot of these players on the USA team are now playing in top European clubs, and it's now, preseason for these European clubs. So they got to go back to their teams, to their clubs. That gets in the way. And second, I think just goes to show you the importance of the Gold Cup at this moment, where you can be like, right, I'm bringing third stringers, I'm bringing a C team. And it's like kind of like, we all know the CONCACAF Gold Cup is probably one of the worst, tournaments in the entire world. Like, doesn't compete with the Euros, doesn't compete with Copa America from South America. Like, the Gold Cup, it's a bunch of Caribbean islands, Central American countries. They don't really match up against the talent for the rest of the world. And to be honest, it's always been the big three. And to be honest, big two, because U.S. and Canada have won most or dominated most of CONCACAF. Canada has only won Gold Cup one time in their entire history. They're a hockey country, not really a soccer country. And now is really when they've started to develop as a soccer country. And you're right, Brandon. I think Mexico, I'd put Mexico at 3 right now.
Yeah.
I have U.S., Canada, Mexico. And then it's a toss-up between 4 and 5 between Panama and Jamaica. I think Jamaica's really been strong. I would love to say Costa Rica. I think Costa Rica has been so good in recent years, but I think they've really plummeted in recent time. They haven't really been good. They're kind of rebuilding. They lost their golden generation, and we saw in the World Cup they got demolished and annihilated by Spain.
Yeah.
So it's U.S. and Mexico for me that dominate Gold Cup, and you just see the importance where you can just say, oh, okay, yeah, Gold Cup's coming up. Let's just throw in some third strings and we'll figure it out. It's not that much of importance.
Yeah, I wish they switched that up though, because like Nations League, especially like our Nations League here in like Americas, like I never really paid attention to it. I don't even know where this thing came out of. It just came out of the blue. In my honest opinion, Gold Cup, I grew up on like Gold Cup, like, oh, that's weird. Haiti's playing against the U.S. for what? Like that's how you basically know about this stuff. And that's how you know about the development of other, because every single place has a league. Like Jamaica has a soccer league, like Honduras, El Salvador has a soccer league. You know what I mean? So this whole Nations League is kind of weird out of the blue, but
it's just weird.
Yeah, I just want to say I would rather see, despite preseason, of course, and other things going on internationally, I would rather see Dest, Pulisic, McKennie. I would rather see them play in the Gold Cup than for any Nations League.
Okay. That's a fair point. It's valid.
Yeah.
Jonko, we can't hear you.
Yeah, Jonko, you're mute.
What the hell? Okay, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I was saying that I would like to see South America and North America play against each other.
Well, that's how it works. Supposedly, CONMEBOL and now that Messi's in Inter Miami, internationally, they want to do CONMEBOL and CONCACAF together, creating a tournament. So South American countries going against CONCACAF countries.
Yeah, bro, because I don't want to see Trinidad and Tobago play against USA Like that's a joke. Like quit it.
I mean, but the thing is, you think about it.
At that point, bro.
If they do CONMEBOL and CONCACAF, it's gonna be probably just as bad because you don't want to see Brazil or Argentina playing Trinidad and Tobago.
Now, could you bet? You know, be the funniest one though. What if it's just like Brazil against Cuba and the score is like 17-1?
Cuba, I think Cuba. I think they're ranked last in the entire world.
No, yeah. Did they even get what? They had like a goal or two in like the Gold Cup.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then they lose their players. They all immigrate into our country.
Yeah, they all defect. You know, which is good for them. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know if that would be. It's got to be a specific few though. If they're gonna do that idea, like the top 5 CONCACAF, then the top 5 out of South America. I think that should be the line at least the standard.
Good. Yeah, I agree with you. Switching up gears here, if you guys, and I watched the tournament and it was phenomenal, but Wimbledon this year, my boy, fellow Spaniard, Carlos Alcaraz, champion at 20 years old, beating the Djokovic in the final.
Nice.
The Djokovic has won Wimbledon various of times. Not often do you see the Djokovic frustrated. This guy literally got his racket, and people booed him, got his racket and smashed it against the net. Alcaraz was doing things to Djokovic that never seen before. This kid, I think, and he was the number 1 seed, but from the very beginning was just doing things that were just amazing that people could not believe he was pulling off. It was an amazing tournament to watch. Obviously, when you watch Wimbledon, you always look into the crowd too with the amount of celebrities. I know Jimmy Butler was there, who I believe he's friends with Alcaraz, and he went to go support him, for a match. David Beckham was there at one point before he headed here to Miami. Tom Hiddleston and a bunch of celebrities. So it's always fun to watch to see in the crowd in Wimbledon. But man, let me tell you, it's insane to watch these tennis players. Some of their serves. I mean, I saw a serve from Alcaraz that reached 136 miles per hour. Like, how do you even stand in front of that ball and try to hit one back the other way? It's absolutely crazy. But if you really watch tennis and you watch Wimbledon, these matches, they get intense. They really get intense, and it's fun to watch. And I'm glad I was able to watch the tournament this year and keep an eye on it and watch several matches. And I was been following Alcaraz, and he won the U.S. Open previously, and I've been watching him since then. And congratulations to him. And it was great, man. I really now have gained an interest and open to watching more tennis.
Yeah, for me personally, I wasn't able to catch too much of Wimbledon. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like ever since the Miami Open came to Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, that's when I kind of getting started it. Yeah. I did watch a lot of it last year though, because Chris Fowler, who's one of my favorite broadcasters, is always doing tennis matches when it's not college football. So I got to go there to support. But I think Djokovic, just the hatred this guy got on social media, whether it was Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I mean, Threads, like they were just bashing this guy for not, being up to par against a 20-year-old kid, which again, great job by the Spaniard. Obviously when you see a new guy come in, especially in a competition like Wimbledon, it's astonishing. It's one of a kind. Only a few players, especially at a young age, can even get that type of feat done. But I was kind of curious though, with Jimmy Butler, was the entire Miami royal family there, or Shakira wasn't there?
Actually, good question. I want to say, because I did read. Guys, I'm sorry. I read into this stuff. That's not my fault. I see the news. Supposedly, after he was at Wimbledon, I'm not sure if she was there, but when she was in London and they met up for dinner. Well, look, I don't know what's going on here. Like, this is aside from the topic, but like, pick one, Shakira. It's either Jimmy Butler or Lewis Hamilton. You're hanging out. Listen. She's hanging out with Jimmy Butler, but she's showing up on the weekends at every Grand Prix and watching Lewis Hamilton race and on his boat.
I'm telling you right now, Shakira and Jimmy Butler, a real thing. If she's courtside next to DJ Khaled, game 1, it's official.
Listen, don't put that on me. I know what you're doing. I know your mind. I know what you're doing. I say, oh, good. I want Jimmy Butler, Shakira distracting the Celtics can finally, do something.
Well, I'm it's just, wait till May. Wait till May.
Jonka, talk to us about some Wimbledon.
I didn't get to watch any of the games, but I did hear about I forgot his name.
Alcaraz.
Winning, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, boy came to play. He came to play. No, you can't get salty. You lose. I'm like, you've won it plenty of times. The kid just played better than you, bro. Just take the L. Like, you can't get mad about it. I mean, you've won it plenty of times. Just because you don't win it every year, you can't get mad. But
I found it very funny. He was on CNN this morning. They were interviewing him, and he had the Wimbledon trophy with him. And they asked, the CNN, the anchors asked, can you show us, the trophy on camera? Now, it's one of those cups, and it has like a top on it. And when Alcaraz was like, sure, whatever, he picks up the trophy. The top of the trophy fell on the floor, and he was like, on live TV, and he picks it up, puts it back on, and just shows it, but he's just dying laughing the entire rest of the interview because he dropped it. But yeah, it was very exciting. Wimbledon was very exciting. I think everyone should give it a chance and catch it next year, or any of the other big tournaments coming up. It's very fun, and I'd be interested in seeing what Alcaraz does going forward in his career. Still so young. Moving forwards to a topic that I really want to get to, because I saw a tweet from Jonka the other night that I completely disagreed with. And I was very close to calling him out on social media, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wait till Monday to talk about it. And we're going to talk about DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins signs with the Tennessee Titans. Our guy Jonka here, who is a New England Patriots fan, says that Bill Belichick is really no good because he didn't sign DeAndre Hopkins. And that really made me upset because I really respect Bill Belichick as a head coach. And I think, look, I don't like the Patriots, but he's a great head coach. And he is for me, a genius of the game. Every single game, this man changes up the game plan and the schemes, changes everything up. And to do that, it's very hard to do that. And especially in a week span to change it all up. I think he's just a brilliant of a coach. So just because you didn't sign one player makes him terrible? I completely disagree with that.
Wait. Everybody that's listening right now, he says that I said it was terrible. I got the tweet here.
Read the tweet, bro.
You got the receipt. Hold up.
I said, and I quote right here, Bill Belichick is now officially on the chopping block after losing out to Hopkins.
Why would he be on the chopping block? That's like saying if Greg Popovich didn't sign a player, he's finally on the chopping block.
After everything that's happened after Tom Brady has left, it has been in shambles.
But what do you want? You just talked about the Djokovic
as your offensive coordinators. That was a flop. The year before that, you got rid of Josh McDaniels as your offensive coordinator. He went to the Oakland Raiders, so you lost a good offensive coordinator.
Las Vegas.
You have to hire Bill O'Brien to fix your mess, right? You've never been able to bring in any offensive players besides probably Gronk. And Tom Brady's gone right now, right? Mac Jones, his first season, he was in the Pro Bowl. The second season, he has Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as his offensive coordinators. The Patriots are going 8-9. No offense. It's probably the worst offense in the league.
Yeah.
Who's to blame? Who's the one making all these decisions for drafting? Oh, who would it be? Bill Belichick. The one we've always seen. The one that gave up 41.
I won't put it only on the coach, man. There's general managers in front office that makes these decisions as well. It's not all on the coach.
Okay, so who on the Patriots offense right now? What receiver is as good as DeAndre Hopkins?
Listen, you just said about the Djokovic. You just said, oh, he can't complain because he can't win every year. You had one of the most successful runs in history. And what? Now you want to win every single year that Brady's gone? Be realistic. It doesn't work that way. Some of us haven't won the Super Bowl since 94 and 72.
But that's win the championship. I'm saying give me a winning season. You haven't had a winning season since Tom Brady's left.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is like, man, this is a bad time for the Pats to not be competitive. You know what I mean? Like New York and the Jets, Dolphins, with Tua obviously in the cast they have, the track team that they have in Buffalo with Josh Allen. I mean, I don't have to explain any bit about that. But I think the one thing about it, especially with the move of D-Hop, is this going to be another Julio Jones?
Yeah.
Is it going to be like, let's sign this guy, let's get Ryan Tannehill out on the field just for us to be second fiddle away from that of the Jacksonville Jaguars? Honestly, I think that this is going to be a positive move for Tennessee, but I don't think this pushes the needle for Tennessee. I mean, and again, for D-Hop, I don't think they'll even do that for New England. And again, Jonka, I do believe that the Pats, they have terrible luck right now, not with their players, because I think the youth that they got is actually a pretty good youth group with Mac Jones, Myers, and everyone. But offensive coordinators going throughout the roulette, defensive coordinators, Matt Patricia for some reason making calls out of nowhere, like he did good in Detroit. You know what I mean? So it says the more of a coaching standpoint, not the Belichick, but more or less the cast around Belichick rotating nonstop. There's no consistency in that franchise right now. But DeAndre Hopkins, I don't think anybody's on the hot seat. If anything, it's definitely Robert Kraft, who should have given a bigger contract for D-Hop. I mean, what did they have? Like 2 years, $26 million?
But I got something to tell you right though. Hold up. The Patriots, they signed tight end after they got Gesicki and they have Hunter Henry. They signed Jonnu Smith for the money that would have offered DeAndre Hopkins.
Hey, but he's good though. Jonnu Smith is good. He's not D-Hop, but he is good.
They need another tight end though. That's the thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
DeAndre Hopkins said that this is what he wanted from his next NFL team: stable management, tight ends. No, a QB who loves the game. They don't even know who the next QB is, and a great defense. Tennessee, great defense. Come on.
Yeah.
But I'll give you two things.
Tennessee Titans.
I'll give you two things.
It's because he won the bag.
I'll give you two things. Tennessee's more competitive than New England, and Tannehill is better than Mac Jones. Even if D-Hop signs with New England, great. Not going to do crap because Mac Jones is not the guy. I'm sorry to tell you. Mac Jones is not it.
Oh, how do you expect the guy to do anything good when every year he's been in the league, he's had a different offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
Come on. You gotta give the guy a chance. And
I don't find him impressive.
His first year, he was a Pro Bowl. And then the second year, he gets Matt Patricia as an offensive coordinator. Now, this year, he gets Bill O'Brien, which is an actual offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Mac Jones has improved.
This year, it's bad, then you can get rid of him.
He's absolutely improved. And I think, again, it's a bad time for the Pats to be in this division right now because not a lot of people are going to be talking about Mac Jones. And I think Bailey Zapp maybe a little bit. I mean, that's not a bad quarterback room. But either way, I'm thinking from the sense of what it is in the AFC South, that division is on its way up. Top 5 quarterback Anthony Richardson with the Colts, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and the cast of Tennessee, who have been in multiple playoff appearances now throughout the years. And Jacksonville, they made it out. And again, that was a crazy game they had against the Chargers, I believe, in the wild card. And they did put up a little bit of a fight against Kansas City. That division, besides Houston, that division is going to be growing the next 2 years. And I wouldn't be surprised if we talk about Tennessee in a deep run or even Jacksonville in a deep run, as crazy as that may sound.
I don't know if you will agree with me. I know Jonka did the other day when I told him. But for me, the two most competitive divisions in football right now is the AFC East and the NFC East. I don't know how you feel about that, Brandon.
Well, the AFC part I agree with. The NFC part, I'm not really positive about that.
Hey, listen, man.
I'm not really the Eagles are the Eagles at this point. Like, right. You're not going to go past them. I don't think there's a single team in that division that can go past them. Like, Washington has their issues. The Giants, they made a playoff against the Vikings. They beat out Minnesota in Minnesota, as impressive as it is. But if we're talking about a Super Bowl and making it out that conference, is anybody going to beat Philadelphia?
Listen to me. Dallas only finishes 2 games behind Philadelphia in that division, and they beat Philadelphia. I mean, they beat us too, but we beat them as well. New York Giants, I really like what they're building. And they're improving. And I think this year they're going to be even much better. Washington, I think they're the weak link of the division, but still they're there. I think almost every team in that division almost made the playoffs. I think that division, they play some pretty good football.
No, of course they do. I'm not saying that it's not a good division itself in talent, but when we're talking about competitiveness, like the AFC East, Dolphins can win it, Bills can win it, the Jets could surprise people. And I mean, we saw last year, the Patriots, they could be in conversation late. But is Washington going to be late into the season in December, be potentially there? Is potentially the Giants going to be there?
I really honestly think that it can be Eagles, Cowboys, or Giants in that division.
I don't know. If you ask me personally, and again, in all due respect, I'm thinking the Giants are making more strides than the Cowboys next year. That's what I'm seeing it as. The way the offseason looking like, that's what I'm seeing it as.
Hey, Brendan, this coming year or the year after?
No, like this upcoming year. Like from the offseason moves and, of course, as well, from the improvements we've seen from New York and then that of the Cowboys. A lot of questions with Dak, especially after a big contract. Zeke on his way out. I'm not, and I do apologize if he is on his way out, whatnot. Yeah. So
still got Tony Pollard though.
No, of course. And again, as I mentioned before, it's a talented division, but in a sense of competing with Philadelphia, a team that's made the Super Bowl 2 times in the last 5 to 6 years, that's hard to do for any franchise, especially in the NFL, unless you've got a really special talent or a really special front office. So I'm telling you.
I think this year it's going to be Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Redskins, or Commanders.
Yep.
And the reason I
got it was last year.
I got the Giants in third because right now with the drama with Saquon Barkley and the team, because they don't want to give him the extension he wants, and they're only valuing him at $5 million a year, and then obviously incentives and stuff like that. But he says he wants more money, seeing that he's the best player on the team, and he's really the difference maker on the team. So, but they don't want to give him the money. So that little problem right there could mess up the Giants juju. But overall, the AFC East is just
yeah. Well, we got 3 minutes left. Last topic. I want Brandon to give us a rundown in these last 3 minutes of what the Florida Panthers have been up to in this offseason, because I know they've been making moves.
Yeah. So it's been really weird. Duclair's gone. Gudis is gone.
Yep.
We ended up from the draft. We got a couple of good guys, a lot of Americans actually. Unfortunately, I don't really have the pronunciation of all the names, but I know we got a lot of great forwards. And also, Spencer Knight is back on the team, making time on the ice and whatnot. And the Everblades are now affiliated officially with the Florida Panthers, who I believe I forgot the name. I think it's ECL.
Yeah,
I believe that's the conference that they're a part of. But yeah, so the Everblades that play in Southwest Florida are now officially associated with the Florida Panthers. And we have a new guy. And this is a little controversial for me because I don't like it. I don't agree with it at all. I don't know his name at all. And again, I can't give you the pronunciation, but he took number 11 with this Jonathan Huberdeau's number. And to me, that guy was the literal standpoint of the franchise, and that number should be retired in the future. And, maybe it does get retired in the future. Maybe time will tell. But definitely don't agree with anybody wearing number 11. It feels weird seeing someone wear number 11. It's like if someone wore number 3 or number 6 in Miami for the Miami Heat, You just don't do that. So, yeah, Panthers, a lot of losses. And a lot of guys who are returning for 1-year deals. So we did not a lot this offseason to keep this same roster. But, of course, the big names, Kachuk, Barkov, Bobrovsky, that big three are, of course, going to be staying on multiple years. But Duclair, who was an all-star before he got here and definitely kept that same status while he was here, and Gudis. Those are the biggest departures, in my honest opinion.
And still early in the offseason, so still, to be seen and see what remains of this offseason, what future moves the Panthers make. But that's all for our show tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in as always and showing us love, and we appreciate it, and keeping up with our social media. Once again, here in DC, MLS All-Star will be giving you some coverage this week. For myself and for the team, we hope that you have a great week, and we'll see you back next Monday for episode 102. Have a good night.